She never raised her voice at me. Not once. Not in 8 years. She never said anything cruel. She never issued ultimatums. She never told my husband to choose between us. She was, on the surface, entirely reasonable. This is what made her so effective. Her name is Lorraine. She's my former mother-in-law. And over the course of 8 years, using nothing but small actions, carefully timed observations, and an absolute refusal to say anything that could ever be held against her, she dismantled my marriage from the inside. I did not understand what was happening until it was already done. That is also part of how she did it.
I married my husband, David, when I was 32. We had been together for 3 years. I liked him from the beginning. He was steady, thoughtful, and easy to be around. He had a good relationship with his family, which I took as a good sign. He spoke warmly about his mother. He visited her regularly. He called on Sundays. I thought, this is a man who knows how to love people. I was not wrong. I was just not yet aware of what that would mean when the people he loved were in conflict with each other. Lorraine was welcoming when I met her. Warm, even. She cooked for us on the first visit. She showed an interest in my work. She asked about my family in a way that felt genuine. There was nothing to notice, nothing to flag, nothing that would later, on reflection, seem obviously significant. The first thing I remember thinking was odd happened about 4 months after David and I started living together. We had chosen a flat. We had made the decision together. We had been excited about it. When David told his mother, she expressed her support immediately. She said it sounded wonderful. She said she was so pleased for us. Then she said, of course, David has always been someone who makes big decisions very quickly. I've always worried that he doesn't give himself enough time to be sure. She was not talking about the flat. She was talking about me. She did not say my name. She did not need to. It took me years to name what she was doing. That delay was itself a product of the method, because what she was doing did not look like interference. It looked like care. She would ask about our relationship in ways that introduced doubt without asserting it. She would say, "Are you both happy?" in a tone that implied she had reason to ask. She would say, "I know David can be difficult to live with," which planted a thought I had not previously had. She arrived with observations that appeared concerned, that I looked tired, that David seemed stressed, that she had noticed he wasn't himself lately. Each observation was plausibly true. Each one was timed for a moment when something between us was already slightly strained. She was not inventing problems. She was finding them, or finding the moments in any ordinary relationship when problems are present in their smallest, most manageable form, and amplifying them. Gently, consistently, without ever being identifiable as the source of the amplification. The structure, I eventually understood, was always the same. An observation that placed a thought in David's mind. A question that introduced doubt about my perspective. A piece of advice that looked like wisdom but pointed away from me. And always, always framed as concern. For David. For our happiness. For us. I want to be specific because the specificity is what makes it real. In our second year of marriage, David and I went through a period of disagreement about money. Nothing serious. Different habits, different thresholds, the ordinary negotiation of two financial lives merging. We were working through it. Lorraine called David during that period. She told him, and he told me this much later, that she had been thinking about him and that she wanted to say that in her experience, financial incompatibility was one of the leading causes of long-term relationship breakdown and that she hoped we were being honest with each other about our different approaches. We had not told her there was a disagreement about money. She had inferred it, from tone, from something David had said in passing, from the particular frequency of her own attention. And then she had named it, given it a category, and tied it to long-term relationship breakdown. In a single phone call, without saying anything that was factually untrue. In our 4th year, I was offered a promotion that would involve more travel. I wanted to take it. David and I discussed it at length and reached an agreement that it was the right move. At the next family dinner, Lorraine asked about the new role. I described it. She listened carefully. She said, "That sounds like a real opportunity for you." Then she turned to David and said, "You've always been so good at supporting the people you love, even when it costs you something." She had not said, "This will cost David something." She had said that David was good at bearing costs. The implication of what the cost might be was left entirely to his imagination. He brought it up 2 weeks later. He said he'd been thinking about the travel. He said he wanted to make sure we were both genuinely happy with the decision. We had already been genuinely happy with the decision. In our 6th year, I had a miscarriage. We had not told many people. We were still finding our way through it. David told his mother. She came to visit. She was kind. She brought food and sat with us and said the right things. She did not interfere. She did not offer opinions. When she left, she said to David at the door while I was in the other room, "You're going to need to be so strong for her. I know how much you carry. I just want you to know that I see that. Not, I hope you're both okay. Not, lean on each other. You're going to need to be so strong for her." As if my grief was something David would need protection from. As if the weight of our shared loss was located in me, and David's role was to bear it. I did not hear that exchange. David told me about a year later, during an argument, as evidence of how much pressure he had been under. The marriage ended in our 8th year. It did not end in a single conversation or a single event. It ended the way things end when they have been slowly hollowed out for a long time. In exhaustion, in distance, in a mutual recognition that something had been lost and neither of us could locate exactly when. We went to couples therapy. The therapist was skilled and patient. In the sessions, David described feelings of being torn between the life we had built and a pull towards something that felt like his own identity, his own history, his own ground. He did not name his mother in those sessions, but I heard her in the language. The identity he was being pulled toward was the one that predated me. The one in which his most important relationships were the ones he had been born into, and the one he had chosen was always slightly provisional, slightly conditional on his continued comfort within it. The therapist in our final session together said something I've thought about many times since. She said, "In every marriage, 2 people are also negotiating with every relationship that came before. The question is whether those prior relationships expand the marriage or contract it. David's prior relationships had contracted ours. That contraction had not been accidental. After David and I separated, I did not speak to Lorraine for some time. Then, about 6 months later, she called me. She said she was sad about how things had turned out. She said she hoped there were no hard feelings. She said that whatever had happened between David and me, she had always liked me and always wished us well." I let her finish, and then I said, "I know what you did, Lorraine. I'm not able to prove all of it, and I'm not going to try. But I know, and I think somewhere under everything, you know that I know." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "I only ever wanted what was best for David." I said, "I know you believe that. That's what makes it so hard to argue with." And I ended the call. That was the last time we spoke. It has taken me a long time to arrive at something that feels like understanding rather than just anger. I do not think Lorraine sat down one day and decided to dismantle my marriage. I do not think she had a plan in the deliberate sense of that word. What I think she had was a deeply held belief that David's primary loyalty belonged to her, to his family of origin, to the relationships he had before me, and that any marriage which shifted that loyalty was, by definition, a threat. She did not act out of malice. She acted out of love. A love that was so proprietary, so absolute, so convinced of its own rightness, that it could not accommodate the idea of David belonging fully to someone else. And the tragedy, if I'm honest about it, is that David let her. Not because he was weak, not because he didn't love me, but because he had never been given a reason to question the terms of that love. He had grown up in it. It was the water he swam in. What she did was invisible to him because it was the background of his entire life. What she did was visible to me because I arrived from outside it. People ask me sometimes whether I regret marrying David. The honest answer is no. I do not regret the marriage. I regret that I did not understand sooner what the marriage was inside of. I regret the years I spent trying to fix things I had not correctly identified as broken. But I do not regret understanding it now. Because the thing I learned, the thing I wish someone had told me at the beginning, is this. When you marry someone, you do not just marry them. You marry the version of themselves that their family has spent decades constructing. And if that construction does not leave room for you, If the architecture of their emotional world was designed without a space for a partner, then no amount of love or patience or effort on your part will make the room appear. You can only build inside the space that exists. Lorraine never raised her voice at me. She never said anything cruel. She never issued an ultimatum. She did not need to. She had already built the house.